3 days before my thesis defense. I found out my boyfriend had sent the first draft of my paper to the one that got away. It was 11:30 that night. Rain lashed at the oak trees outside the dorm building. Leaves rustling in a steady, heavy hum. I'd only logged into the shared cloud drive to dig up a data cleaning record from last year. Instead, I stumbled on an unfamiliar folder. It was labeled, Sophia Final Draft. Do not touch. I stared at those 4 words for a long time. Sophia. Sophia Moore. The one that got away from his undergrad days. The famously beautiful senior in our department. And the student my advisor always brought along to conferences. I opened the folder. 3 files sat inside, the full paper, the regression code, and a note on the raw dataset. The title read Digital Finance Development, Corporate Green Innovation, and Low Carbon Transition Performance. I scrolled through page by page, and a cold dread sank slowly into my chest. As if someone were pressing my heart under icy water. The abstract was mine. The second paragraph of the introduction, those were lines I'd rewritten over 3 straight nights the previous November until they flowed just right. The variable label green patent in the construction tabline abbreviation I'd jotted down on a whim. Because number of green patent applications felt too long to type. Even a throwaway comment I'd left in the code was still there. Don't delete this yet. Ask Ethan about heteroskedasticity tomorrow. I stared at that line and suddenly laughed. How thoughtful. They'd stolen my entire paper. And hadn't even bothered to erase the trace of me asking him for help. I called Ethan. He answered on the 7th ring. It was quiet on his end. Faint keyboard clicks humming under the line. His voice was low. Like he was whispering. Elena. It's so late. Why are you still up? Where are you? I asked. Lab. He said. Helping the professor sort out conference materials. Is Sophia there too? There was a 1-second pause. She is. Ethan said. Quickly recovering his casual tone. She has a grant proposal due tomorrow. The professor asked me to look it over for her. Why? I pushed my laptop screen forward. As if he could see it through the phone. Ethan. Why is my paper in her cloud drive? Dead silence on the other end. Rain drifted in through the window. Settling on my desk. On the half-printed slides for my defense. And on every scrap of trust I'd nurtured over 3 years. Foolishly thinking I was cherished. After a long moment. Ethan said. Calm down. Okay. I'm calm. I said. He sighed. And there was an edge of exasperation in his voice. As if I were being unreasonable. Elena. That article was just a favor, letting her submit it first. She's up for a fellowship. And her advisor is breathing down her neck for publications. You still have your thesis. Anyway. Your data and model are solid. Cranking out another paper won't be hard for you. My fingers around the phone went numb. Slowly. So you admit you gave it to her? That's not what I meant. His voice dropped. Don't make it sound so ugly. Your research directions are similar. It's normal to reference each other's work. Besides, Sophia added her own literature review and mechanism analysis. It's not like she used yours word for word. I opened Sophia's so-called final draft and flipped to chapter 4. She hadn't even renamed the mechanism variables. She'd even copied the typo I'd made. Did she get accepted? I asked. Ethan said nothing. His silence was answer enough. Which journal? Journal of Economics and Management Review. He said. The acceptance notice came last week. Last week I'd been in the library. Helping him edit his PhD dissertation proposal. Last week he'd brought me a hot vanilla latte and said, Elena. Once you're done with your defense, we'll take graduation photos together. It suddenly felt absurd. Some people could steal your life's work with one hand. And pat your head sweetly with the other. Like nothing was wrong. When I didn't speak, Ethan softened his tone. Elena. Listen to me. Sophia's family is going through a hard time right now. She's under so much pressure. She just needs one paper to beef up her CV. You're different. You're capable. The professor believes in you. You'll have other chances. What about me? I said. What? Aren't my chances too? He went quiet. I heard someone call his name softly from the background. Ethan. The formatting's done. Come take a look. It was Sophia's voice. Light. Soft. Like a feather deliberately dropped onto an open flame. Ethan spoke in a hurry. Elena. I'll call you back later. Just calm down first. I hung up. I didn't wait for him to call back. I didn't sleep that night. I downloaded every file from Sophia's cloud drive and saved screenshots of the access logs. Then I opened my own computer, dragging every document I'd created from proposal to present into a single folder. Raw data download records. The first timestamped version of my cleaning code. Every exported table of regression results. The slides I'd presented at our advisors group meetings. Text message history of me, discussing the model with Ethan. And the email I'd sent him, asking him to proofread for typos. By 4 a.m, I'd compressed all the evidence into a single zip file. I named it, not reference. Theft. Before hitting send, I paused. The sky outside was still dark. But the rain had stopped. I saw my reflection in the window glasses, red and raw, but calm. I sent the file to 3 places: the journal editorial office, the department's graduate program office, and my advisor's work email. At the end of the email, I wrote only one line. I am prepared to provide all raw data, code logs, and version records for further verification upon request. Right after the email sent, my phone lit up. A message from Ethan. Elena. Don't make this bigger than it has to be. I stared at the words. Then typed back a single line. Good night. Then I blocked him. At 8 o'clock the next morning, I ran into Sophia outside the department building. She was wearing a cream-colored dress, her hair loosely pinned up, standing by the bulletin board talking to 2 first-year grad students. When she saw me, a flash of panic crossed her face, gone almost as fast as it came. Then she smiled. Elena, she said, loud enough for the people around us to hear. I heard your defense is the day after tomorrow. How's prep going? Fine, I said, smiling back. Sophia stepped closer, lowering her voice. Ethan told me everything last night. Is there some kind of misunderstanding? I looked up at her. She had very pretty eyes, naturally wide and guileless. I'd been fooled by those eyes once. The first time I'd met her was at graduate orientation. Ethan had held my hand and introduced her. This is Sophia Moore, a senior. She's brilliant. She helped me out a lot back in undergrad. Sophia had smiled and said, so you're Elena. Ethan talks about you all the time. Says you're such a hard worker. Back then, I'd only heard the compliment. Later I understood when people praise you for being tough, it's usually because they've already decided what hardships they're going to hand you. When I didn't say anything, Sophia sighed gently, like she was pitying me. Don't blame Ethan. This is my fault. I only meant to reference your research framework. I had no idea it would upset you this much. Reference, I said. Of course. She blinked softly. Academic research is all about building on each other's ideas. Right. Our fields overlap. Our variables are similar. It's normal for results to line up. Getting this worked up right before your defense. It's not worth it. So you think I'm overreacting? A flicker of hurt crossed Sophia's eyes. That's not what I meant. Elena. I know you've always had a problem with me. You think Ethan had feelings for me before. So you take it out on me. But academia is academia. And feelings are feelings. You can't mix them up. She raised her voice slightly on that last line. Sure enough, the 2 first years beside her exchanged a look. I stared at her, and suddenly found it almost funny. The talent of people like her isn't that they can lie. It's that they can prepackage your anger as jealousy. If I raised my voice and confronted her right now, to everyone watching, I'd just be the girl losing her mind over her boyfriend's old flame. I didn't give her the satisfaction. Sophia, I said, do you know why I'm not going to fight you out here? She blinked, taken aback. I leaned in half a step, lowering my voice to match hers. Because you look right at home standing in front of that bulletin board. Like you were born to be on a disciplinary notice. Her face drained of color. I didn't wait for a reply. I turned and walked up the stairs. At 10 o'clock that morning, Professor Hale called me and asked me to come to his office. When I walked in, Ethan was already there. He stood by the window, dark circles under his eyes. When he saw me, he visibly relaxed. Elena. He took a step toward me. You finally agreed to see me. I stepped sideways, out of his reach. Professor Hale sat behind his desk, his brow furrowed tightly. Elena. he said. I read your email. This is a complicated situation. And the department is aware of it. Tell me how do you want to come of this? I want it handled through the official academic misconduct process, I said. Ethan went pale. Elena. Professor Hale's voice deepened. Let's not jump to conclusions. Sophia's paper has only been accepted, it hasn't been formally published yet. If we just arrange a retraction, we can handle this privately. No need for a spectacle. I looked at him. 3 years ago, I'd walked into this very office for the first time, nervous about my thesis proposal. Professor Hale had said, do solid work. Never cut corners. And I'd taken that to heart. While everyone else went out on weekends, I was in the computer lab running regressions. While everyone else interned, I was holed up in the library plowing through English papers. When my model wouldn't run, I'd text Ethan at 3 in the morning. He'd send back, be good. Work on it tomorrow. And I'd actually believed I had someone in my corner. And now here they sat, telling me to handle it privately. Professor, I said, I have a question. He looked up. Go ahead. If it had been Sophia whose work was stolen instead of mine, would you still be suggesting we handle it privately? The office went quiet. Ethan couldn't hold back. Elena. Don't talk to the professor like that. I turned to him. Then how should I talk to him? Thank you for giving my paper away. A flash of pain crossed his face. I know I messed up. But will you just listen to me? I never meant to hurt you. That paper means everything to Sophia. If she doesn't get a publication this year, her applications are over. You're about to graduate. You have your thesis. This won't set you back that much. I laughed. So you stole from me because I looked like I could take it. Ethan opened his mouth. But no words came out. Professor Hale tapped his desk. Enough. This isn't the time to argue. Elena. Your defense is coming up. Don't let this affect you. The department will investigate the paper. For now, focus on preparing for your defense. Fair enough, I said. But during the investigation, I'm requesting a new defense coordinator. And I'd like the department to confirm in writing that my thesis will not be retroactively flagged for self-plagiarism because of Sophia's accepted paper. Professor Hale stared at me. And something in his gaze shifted. He'd probably expected me to show up crying. Instead, I was here to negotiate. That can be arranged, he said. And one more thing, I added. The investigation team will need access to Ethan's computer and the lab's shared cloud drive logs. Because Sophia didn't just get the paper, she got my raw data and my code too. Ethan's head snapped toward me. I met his stare evenly. And added. One of those code files. I only ever sent it to you. The blood drained from Ethan's face. Inch by inch. He finally realized I hadn't just found a similar paper. I'd found his hand in it. After I left the office, Ethan cornered me in the stairwell. Elena. Do you have to do this? I stopped. His eyes were red. His voice rough. 3 years. 3 years together. And you're really going to drag me down with her? I almost laughed. Did you think about our 3 years when you gave her my paper? I was just helping her out once. What about me? Why do you always have to push things this far? Ethan ran a hand through his hair. Agitated. I know I was wrong. I can apologize. I can make it up to you. What do you want? I'll talk to my advisor. I'll help you rewrite your paper. I'll get you into a better journal. We can fix this together. I looked at him. This was what Ethan was best at. He always framed every hurt as a small problem that could be fixed. As if all I had to do was be good. Accept his apology. And keep his reputation intact for him. How do you plan to make it up to me? I asked. He latched onto the opening like it was a lifeline. I can make Sophia pull the paper. We'll add your name to it. Or we can write a new one together, first author. All yours. I almost laughed out loud. Ethan. Do you still not get it? I don't want her to retract it and add my name. Then what do you want? I want her to admit she stole it. His face hardened instantly. That's not happening. Why not? It'll ruin her. I nodded. So ruining me is fine. Ethan's voice rose. You're not ruined. You just lose one paper. But if she gets tagged with academic misconduct, how is she supposed to get into a PhD program? How is she supposed to work in academia? Footsteps sounded softly in the hallway. Someone passing by. I suddenly remembered first year. When Ethan had sat with me in the ER while I got an 4. I'd pulled an all-nighter editing a term paper and spiked a 102-degree fever. He'd sat beside me in the infusion room, peeling an apple, and said, "Elena, I'm never going to let anyone hurt you." Later I realized he'd meant every word. He'd just swapped out who you was. "Ethan," I said, "we're done." He froze. "What?" "We're breaking up." The word seemed to sting him. After a long beat, he laughed. Bitter. "Elena, you're just angry right now. I get it. You're jealous. Don't insult me," I said. His face went stiff. "I used to mind Sophia," I said, looking straight at him. "I minded that you'd drop everything the second she called. I minded that her stomachache mattered more than my fever. I minded that you swore there was nothing between you. But you remembered every single thing she couldn't eat. But I don't mind anymore. Because you're not worth minding." Panic finally flickered in Ethan's eyes. "Elena." I stepped back. "Don't call me that." Then I turned and walked away. That afternoon, Sophia posted a photo of a coffee cup on her Instagram feed. The caption read, "The truth speaks for itself. No explanations. Just keep moving forward." Dozens of people liked it. Someone commented, "You've got this. Girl. Don't let it get to you." Someone else, "Talented people always get hated on." A mutual friend texted me, "Elena, I heard you and Sophia are fighting over a paper. Come on. You're all in the same department. Is it really worth it? She's actually really nice." I read it and didn't reply. By evening, rumors were spreading through the department group chat. Heard a third year is reporting her ex's ex for plagiarism out of spite. No way. Bringing relationship drama into academia. That's so messy. Doesn't she have her defense soon? Risking her graduation over this. I screenshot every message. One by one. I labeled them and filed them away. Character assassination 1. Rumor spreading 2. Personal attack 3. That night, Sophia sent me a friend request. The request message was one line. "Elena, don't make a fool of yourself." I accepted. She sent a long paragraph almost immediately. "I know you're angry right now. But this is unnecessary. Ethan was just being kind. Helping me out. If you drag him into this, his PhD will be over too. You loved him for 3 years. Do you really want that?" I wrote back, "If you were so worried about him, why did you make him steal my paper for you?" She paused for a few seconds. Then she sent a voice note. I played it. Her voice was still soft. Still sweet, but this time, there was a cold edge under it. "Elena, do you really think sending a few emails changes anything? You never published yours. Mine's already been accepted. Academic priority goes to whoever publishes first. Not whoever wrote something in their dorm room first." I saved the voice note. She kept typing. "If you make this public, everyone's just going to think you got dumped and you're taking it out on me. Your thesis plagiarism screening. Your blind review. Your defense, any one of those can get held up. Think about it. Is that a threat?" I asked. She sent a smiley face emoji. "It's a reminder." I exported the chat log and dropped it into my evidence folder. I renamed the file. Theft followed by intimidation. In that moment, the anger faded. When you're furious, you want to tear the other person's face off. But to actually win, you can't win on anger alone. You win on patience. On evidence. On making every single person who ever said, "Is it really worth it?" shut up when faced with the facts. 3 days later, I had my defense. The night before, Ethan stood outside my dorm for 2 hours. My roommate Lila came back and told me, "He looks terrible. He's still holding that salted caramel cold foam latte you used to like." I was editing the last slide of my presentation. "Let him hold it," I said. "Wasting feelings is bad. Wasting that latte is worse." Lila snickered. Then frowned. Worried. "Elena, are you sure you're okay?" I paused. Truthfully, no. How could I be? 3 years isn't 3 days. I wasn't born cold. I'd seriously planned a future with Ethan. We'd talked about moving to the same city after graduation, him doing his PhD. Me working. Renting a tiny apartment with a balcony. Getting a cat. I'd even picked out a name. Regression. Because I'd always said, once the paper was done, my life would go back to normal. Turns out he was the one who veered off track. But not being okay doesn't mean you break. I'm fine, I told Lila. Tomorrow after the defense. You're taking me out for barbecue. She nodded hard. Half ribs. Half salmon combo. On me. On defense day. I wore a white button-down and black slacks. My hair pulled tight. Before I walked into the conference room, Professor Hale came over and said quietly, Elena, focus on your defense today. Don't bring up anything else. I looked at him. As long as no one else brings it up. I won't. He frowned. What's that supposed to mean? I smiled and didn't answer. The defense went smoothly. My thesis drew from the same core work as the stolen journal paper. But the thesis version was far more complete. I'd added heterogeneity analysis, mechanism tests, and robustness checks, and reworked the entire theoretical framework. The third committee member asked, can your data processing steps be fully reproduced? I opened my backup folder. Yes. I've organized all raw data. Cleaning code. Regression code. And output logs. Every step has a timestamp and version record. The room went quiet for a beat. Professor Hale's expression tightened. I went on. Calmly. Given the department's recent emphasis on academic integrity, I wanted to make my research process as transparent as possible. The professor nodded. Excellent practice. I passed with distinction. When I walked out of the conference room, I saw Sophia standing at the end of the hallway. She clearly hadn't expected me to sail through. Her face was tight. I walked over. Congratulations, she said. Thanks, I said. And good luck with the investigation. In advance. Her smile faded. Elena, she said. Don't get cocky. Passing your defense doesn't mean you won. I nodded. You're right. I pulled a USB drive out of my bag and twirled it between my fingers. Right in front of her eyes. That's why I'm not stopping. Sophia stared at the USB drive. And for the first time, I saw a crack in her composure. She lowered her voice. What else do you want? You'll find out soon enough, I said. Truthfully, I didn't do anything that day. The journal still hadn't written back. The department investigation team hadn't been formally assembled yet. I waited. I waited for them to think this was just a tantrum. I waited for Sophia to keep posting about how the truth would prevail. I waited for Ethan to think there was still a way to talk his way out of it. I let them stack up all their hope. All their denial, then watched it all come crashing down. 3 days later, the journal editorial office emailed me back. The editor was polite. They'd received my materials, would be contacting the author's institution to verify the claims, and asked me to supplement a timeline of all paper drafts and relevant correspondence. I pulled an all-nighter putting together a 32-page documentation file. Page 1, the timeline. From the day I settled on the topic, to the day Sophia submitted her paper, to her acceptance, every milestone laid out clearly. Page 2, file metadata comparison. My first draft was created 7 months before Sophia's submission file. Page 3, code comment comparison. Her DO file retained my abbreviations, my file paths, my temporary markers. Page 4, regression result discrepancy comparison. Her tables matched exactly the version I'd exported the previous December down to the variable measurement error I'd later corrected. Page 5, chat logs. Ethan had explicitly asked me, can you send me the full code? I'll take a look at the robustness for you. I'd replied, sure. Just don't share it around. Okay. He'd sent back a meme. Relax. Your boyfriend's got you. I stared at that screenshot for a long time. Got you. What a bright, bitter joke. The day the department investigation team was assembled, Sophia went on the offensive. First, she posted a long note on her Instagram. I've been dealing with a lot of malice lately, but I believe the truth will always come out. Women shouldn't hurt each other. And we certainly shouldn't dismiss each other's hard work over relationship drama. It was cleverly written. No names named. But every line pointed at me. No outright lies. But every word designed to mislead. Quickly, the comments filled with sympathy. Poor Sophia. Everyone sees how hard you work. Some people can't keep a man, so they go after their career. Low. Women in academia have it hard enough without getting stabbed in the back by other women. Lila threw her phone on the bed. Furious. How can she be such a hypocrite? She steals your paper and says you're stabbing her in the back. I was replying to the journal's email. Not looking up. Let her talk. Aren't you mad? I am. I said. Hitting send. But the more she talks, the more evidence I have. That night, Sophia did an interview with a campus online magazine. The headline, she says not letting misinformation break you is required for young scholars. In the interview, she talked about research, about women in academia, about staying true to yourself when you're doubted. The most ironic line was this. I've always believed that true research isn't about possession, it's about sharing. The academic community needs openness and trust. I almost clapped when I read it. Sharing. She'd shared my paper with herself. After the interview came out, the story spread even wider. Strangers found my social media and made me insults. Heard you stole her boyfriend and then reported her paper. You don't deserve a master's degree. No wonder he picked her over you. You're just bitter and jealous. I didn't reply. I screenshot every single DM, sorted them by account, date, and content, and saved them. Lila asked. Are those even useful? They are. I said. At minimum. They prove her public statements have caused reputational harm to me. Lila blinked. Then gave me a thumbs up. Elena. You're calm as a lawyer right now. I laughed a little. Necessity is the best teacher. The first investigation meeting was held in a small conference room on the 3rd floor of the department building. In attendance, graduate program staff, a university integrity officer, Professor Hale, and 2 external experts from other departments. Sophia sat across from me. Ethan sat beside her. The seating arrangement said everything. Like they were on the same side. The staff member asked me to state my case first. I passed out printed copies of my materials. 5 sets in total. My demands are straightforward. I said. First, confirm whether Sophia's accepted paper makes unauthorized use of my unpublished research. Second, confirm whether Ethan was involved in distributing my unpublished paper, data, and code. Third, the findings must be delivered in writing and shared with the journal editorial office. Sophia bit her lip softly. When it was her turn, her eyes were already glistening. Professors. I admit I referenced Elena's work, but I didn't steal it. She and Ethan are dating. Ethan gave me the materials and said they were for internal project team use. I thought Elena had agreed. She looked at Ethan as she said it. Ethan stared down at the table and said nothing. Smooth move. Dump the blame on Ethan. And frame herself as the innocent party who'd used the material in good faith. The integrity officer asked. Ethan. Is that true? Ethan's Adam's apple bobbed. I really thought Elena wouldn't mind. I looked at him. He wouldn't meet my eye. One of the external experts flipped through the materials. Then suddenly asked. Ms. Moore. You say you only referenced her work. Then can you explain why your code contains a local file path from Ms. Hayes' computer? Sophia froze. The expert read it out. C drive. Users. Elena Hayes. Desktop. Final version. That's not your computer. Is it? The room went so quiet you could hear pages turn. Sophia paled. Maybe the files already had the path when Ethan sent them. I didn't notice. The other expert asked. What about this comment? Don't delete this yet. Ask Ethan about heteroskedasticity tomorrow. You didn't notice that either. Sophia's lips parted. There are a lot of comments in code. I can't read every single one. I almost laughed out loud. An author who doesn't even read the code comments wrote a full empirical paper. Truly a miracle of modern academia. The graduate program staff turned to me. Elena. Do you have proof you didn't consent to Ethan sharing the materials? I pulled out my second set of documents. I do. It was my text message history with Ethan. It clearly read. Full code sent. Just don't share it around. Okay. He'd replied, relax. I explicitly restricted distribution. I said. Ethan isn't on any project team of mine. And Sophia isn't my co-author. My paper hasn't been published. The data cleaning process and code are all unpublished research output. Ethan finally looked up. His expression complicated. I didn't look away. He probably only just realized that offhand relax he'd sent me would one day turn into evidence against him. Before the meeting ended, Sophia suddenly started crying. Professors. I really had no idea things would turn out like this. I just wanted so badly to prove myself. I come from a poor family. Getting this far wasn't easy. If I'm found guilty of academic misconduct, my life is over. Professor Hale's expression visibly softened. Ethan looked at me too. His eyes pleading. I knew what they were waiting for. A girl crying. A boyfriend regretful. An advisor silent. By the script they all knew. I was supposed to be the bigger person. To back down. To say never mind. I didn't. I looked at Sophia. You've had it hard. So you get to steal from other people. What about me? Was it easy for me? Sophia's sobs hitched. I went on. My voice steady. I've been in the library every single day since first year. I burned out 2 laptops. I wrote 17 versions of my proposal. When data was missing, I filled it in city by city. One by one. You come from a poor family, do you think I don't have pressure? You want to prove yourself, do you think I don't? My voice wasn't loud. But every word landed clear. Sophia. You didn't lose because life was hard. You lost because you used other people's hardship as a stepping stone to climb higher. No one spoke in the conference room. After that day, the tide of opinion around me started to shift. People quietly messaged me, Elena. Is it true you have all the evidence? I only replied, wait for the investigation results. I used to think silence meant you were losing. Later I understood when you have real evidence. Silence isn't weakness. It's sharpening the knife. Halfway through the investigation, the department suddenly notified me that Sophia would be presenting at the annual Young Economists Forum the following week. Her presentation title was exactly the stolen paper. Lila almost exploded when she heard. Is she insane? The investigation isn't even over and she's still out there presenting your work. I stared at the forum schedule. My finger resting on her name. Sophia wasn't just brave. She was trying to make the paper a done deal before the investigation results came out. A public presentation. Expert commentary. Press coverage. If she presented it smoothly at the forum, even if the paper was later retracted, she could frame it as an academic dispute, not theft. Ethan texted me too. From an unknown number. Elena. After the forum. I'll make Sophia retract the paper. Just don't show up. Okay. I stared at the text and smiled. He knew me too well. He knew I'd show up. The day of the forum. The weather was beautiful. I wore a navy blazer dress. Light makeup. And sat in the 3rd row by the aisle. Lila sat next to me. So nervous she kept drinking water. Elena. Are you sure about this? I'm sure. What if they say you're disrupting the event? I won't disrupt anything. I said. Opening my notebook. I'm just going to ask questions. At 10:20 in the morning, Sophia took the stage. She looked polished white blouse. Pearl studs. Her hair falling in soft waves over her shoulders. When the screen lit up, she smiled and bowed to the audience. Good morning, professors and fellow students. Today I will be presenting my paper. Digital Finance Development. Corporate Green Innovation. And Low Carbon Transition Performance. Hearing that familiar title come out of her mouth sent a cold twist through my stomach. She presented smoothly. Research background. Theoretical mechanism. Variable construction. Empirical results. Every slide felt like a page torn out of the last year and a half of my life. Pasted onto her resume. Professors in the front row nodded. People took photos. Someone posted in the conference group chat, Sophia's topic is really solid work. I jotted down a few keywords in my notebook. Variable measurement. Sample period. Code comments. Error replication. When Sophia got to robustness checks, a table appeared on screen. I saw the last column of table 3. And the corner of my mouth tugged upward. She'd still used that wrong set of results. It was the intermediate version I'd run the previous December. I'd mixed up the measurement of granted green patents and applied green patents, which inflated the coefficients. I'd caught the mistake later and corrected it in my final thesis. But Sophia never knew. Because she'd stolen the old version. After the presentation, the moderator said, "We'll now open the floor for questions." A professor in the front row asked a methodology question first. Sophia answered vaguely, but got through it. After the second question, I raised my hand. The moderator looked over. The young woman in the 3rd row. I stood up. Every eye in the room turned to me. Sophia's smile froze for a split second. I held up my printed notes. My voice steady. Hi, Sophia. I have 3 questions. Her hand tightened around the microphone. First, I said, in your paper, does the green innovation variable measure the number of green patent applications? Or the number of granted green patents? She paused. Primarily applications. Yet the results in Table 3 of your slides don't align with an application-based measure. They align much more closely with a granted patent measure. I looked right at her. Can you explain that discrepancy? People in the audience started flipping back through their slides. Sophia's smile strained. Perhaps the labeling on my slides isn't clear enough. I'll double-check after the presentation. I nodded. Second, in your data cleaning, did you use listwise deletion or interpolation for missing values? Listwise deletion. Yet your regression sample size shows you retained observations from certain city years with missing data. Which step in your code corresponds to that decision? Sophia went paler. She looked at the moderator. I'll need to verify that detail after the session. I went on. Third, and this is the one I'd most like answered. I looked up at the large screen. On page 18 of your slides, in the robustness test table, there's a variable labeled green patent hold. That variable name doesn't appear anywhere in the body of your paper, but it does appear in the intermediate version of my code from last December. The room went dead silent. Lila held her breath beside me. I held up my stack of materials. More th. And that the set of results you're presenting matches exactly the erroneous results from my old code, including the variable measurement error I later corrected. I looked at Sophia and asked softly, Sophia, how did you independently replicate the exact wrong version of my results? 1 second. 2 seconds. 3 seconds. Total silence. Sophia stood on stage. All the blood draining from her face. The moderator, clearly sensing trouble, tried to smooth it over. That's a very detailed question. Perhaps Ms. Moore can follow up with you after the session. I didn't sit down. With all respect, sir, I said, this isn't a normal academic question. This paper is currently under investigation by both the Journal Editorial Office and the Department for Unauthorized Use of my unpublished research. For her to present it publicly today. While the investigation is ongoing, I believe the audience deserves to know. The room erupted in murmurs. Sophia finally spoke. Her voice shaking. Elena. That's a baseless accusation. I looked at her. It's not baseless. I have the raw data. Code logs. Email records. Cloud drive access logs. And a voice recording of you admitting you referenced my paper. I paused. Would you like me to play it right now? All the color left Sophia's lips. Professor Hale, sitting in the second row, stood up. Elena. Watch yourself. This is not the place. I turned to him. Professor. I am being careful about the place. That's why I didn't interrupt her before she started. I waited for the QA to raise questions directly related to the paper's authenticity. The room went even quieter. A professor from another university spoke up. If there's a question of authorship and academic misconduct, the presentation should be suspended. The organizers should look into this. The moderator's face darkened. He hastily announced a coffee break. When Sophia came off the stage, she could barely stand. Ethan came rushing out of nowhere. Stepping in front of her, he looked at me. His eyes full of shock, anger, and a late, strange kind of awe. Happy now, he said. I tucked my materials back into my bag. Not yet. He froze. I stepped closer. My voice very low. I'll be happy when the retraction notice goes up. Footage from the forum was posted to the campus discussion board that same day. The headline was dramatic. Plagiarism confrontation erupts at Young Economists Forum, grad student calls out speaker live. In half a day. The thread had hundreds of replies. At first, people still criticized me, no matter what. Calling someone out in public is so messy. But quickly, the tide turned. Someone posted side-by-side screenshots of Sophia's slides and leaked pages from my defense presentation. Same variable names. Same sample sizes. Even the same typo. Worse. Someone dug up Sophia's interview where she'd said I've been working on this paper since my sophomore year, but she hadn't even had access to firm-level microdata back then. Comments in the thread read, "This isn't just similar ideas. This is taking the whole thing. Now I get why she asked about the wrong version. That's concrete proof. The worst part is she tried to frame it as relationship drama. Sophia set her Instagram to private. The campus magazine took down her interview. Ethan started calling me nonstop. I didn't answer. That evening, he cornered me outside the library. He looked far more haggard than a few days prior. Stubble on his jaw. Bloodshot eyes. Elena. We need to talk. Move. I said. I'm begging you. His voice was rough. Sophia's not doing well. She says if she gets found guilty of misconduct, she'll kill herself. I stopped walking. Ethan latched onto the pause like it was a lifeline. I know you hate me. Do whatever you want to me. Let the department punish me. Make me apologize. I'll take it. But can you let her off this once? She's just scared. I looked at him. Light spilled out through the library glass doors, falling across his face, making him look like some tragic, devoted leading man. Too bad my life wasn't a romance drama. She's scared. I said. So you helped her steal my paper. She's scared. So she spread rumors that I was just jealous. She's scared. So she presented my work at a forum in the middle of an investigation. So by that logic, if I say I'm scared right now, do you both get to die? Ethan stared. Stunned. I took a breath, steadying my voice. Don't threaten me with her life. If she's really that unwell, you should take her to the hospital. Call her family. Call the campus counseling center. Don't come begging the victim to drop the evidence. His eyes reddened. You used to be so kind. Used to be what? Kind? I laughed. Ethan. People like you are so strange. When you hurt me, you expect me to be strong. When I fight back, you expect me to be kind. His lips trembled. Elena. I know I was wrong. You don't know you were wrong. I said. You just know there are consequences now. The words landed like a slap. He stood there, frozen. For a very long time. I walked around him and into the library. Behind me, he said quietly. Do you really not love me at all anymore? I didn't turn around. I had loved him. That's why it was so sickening. The next day, the investigation team called me in again. This time, their tone was noticeably different. The professors asked more detailed, formal questions. They asked me to provide full screenshots of my computer file metadata, cloud drive download logs, original emails, and exported chat logs with Ethan. I submitted everything. That same day, I got a second email from the journal. The editor confirmed they'd contacted Sophia's institution to verify the claims, and had put the paper's publication on hold. I printed the email and tucked it into my folder. Lila watched me organize page after page of materials and said, Your evidence folder is thicker than a criminal case file. In academia. I said. Evidence wins cases. Not feelings. She leaned on the desk, watching me. Elena. You've changed. My hand stilled. She hurried to add. In a good way. You used to hate causing trouble. Hate upsetting people. Hate making a scene. Now it's like you finally realized you deserve to be protected. I looked down and smiled a little. Honestly, I didn't know if it was bravery, or if I'd just gotten harder. But I knew one thing. You can't always wait for someone else to fight for you. Some roads you have to walk even when you're crying. And when you get to the end and look back, you realize the tears dried a long time ago. A week later, right before the results came out, Sophia asked to meet me at a coffee shop off campus. I almost said no. But she sent one line. I have something to tell you. About Professor Hale. I went. The coffee shop was quiet in the afternoon. Sophia sat by the window. Gaunt. Like she'd lost a lot of weight. No makeup. Dark circles under her eyes. She finally didn't look like the perfect, polished senior everyone admired. I sat down. I didn't order anything. Talk. I said. She looked at me and suddenly smiled. Bitter. Elena. You're really something. Thanks. She looked taken aback. Like she hadn't expected me to take the compliment. I never understood why Ethan liked you. She said, stirring her coffee. You're not the prettiest. You don't come from money. You're quiet. Then I figured it out. You're useful. I said nothing. You'd edit his papers. Organize his references. Take care of him when he was down. Whenever he needed you, you were there. But men are practical. Needing you doesn't mean choosing you. I looked at her. Did you ask me here just to tell me you understand men better than I do? Sophia's face hardened. She pulled a file folder out of her bag and slid it across the table. Do you know why Professor Hale has been trying to bury this from the start? I opened the folder. Inside was a copy of a grant proposal. Principal investigator, Arthur Hale. Core team, Sophia Moore. Ethan Carter. The project topic overlapped almost perfectly with my paper's direction. I flipped through a few pages. Then my fingers stilled on the research basis section. A whole paragraph was nearly identical to my thesis proposal. This isn't the first time she's used your work, Sophia said. I looked up at her. She smiled. Reckless and broken. Last year, Professor Hale asked me to put together the project materials. Ethan sent him your proposal. Said it was solid. That we could build on it. The proposal used your framework. And it got funded as a university seed grant. You thought only I wanted this swept under the rug. I gripped the file tighter. So that was it. No wonder Professor Hale had pushed for a private settlement from day one. No wonder he'd been even more eager than Ethan to keep it quiet. Because it wasn't just one journal paper. It was a whole chain starting with my thesis proposal. All laid out to pave their way. Sophia stared at me. Elena. I'll give you this. But you have to promise me one thing. What? In the investigation. Pin it all on Ethan and Professor Hale. Leave me out of it. I looked at her. And suddenly felt sorry for her. Not the kind of sorry that makes you forgive. The kind that makes you think how stupid someone has to be. She still thought justice was a piece of meat you could haggle over. Whoever offered more, you'd bite them less. I slipped the file into my bag. I'll use this, I said. Sophia's eyes lit up. I went on. But I'm not letting you off the hook. Her face fell instantly. Elena. Don't be greedy. I stood up. Sophia. You're not giving me this out of the goodness of your heart. You just realized the ship is sinking. And you want to throw everyone else overboard first. I looked down at her. Too bad. I'm not here to save you. That afternoon, I did a line-by-line comparison of the grant proposal and my thesis proposal. There were over 7 sections of near-identical text. In some places, even the order of examples was unchanged. I wrote a new email. This time, the recipients included not just the department graduate office, but the University Academic Senate, the Office of Research and Innovation, and the Office of Ethics Integrity Reporting Portal. Subject: Report on unauthorized use of my unpublished research in journal submission and grant proposal. Before hitting send, I hesitated for a minute. Not because I was softening. Because I knew once this email went out, things would never stay between students. It would involve the advisor. It would involve the grant. It would involve the department's reputation. I'd passed my defense. But my degree hadn't been formally conferred yet. My file. My letters of rec. Any future PhD applications, they could all be affected. My palms were sweaty. I wasn't fearless. I just knew that if I didn't press send, I'd spend the rest of my life regretting it. I closed my eyes and pressed send. 3 minutes after the email sent, Professor Hale called me. I didn't answer. He texted, Elena, come to my office. I wrote back, Professor, regarding investigation matters, please contact me through official department channels. After I sent it, I stared at the screen for a long time. I used to call him Professor Hale with so much respect. Now he was just Professor. Respect, it turned out, could run out. After everything blew up, the department went quiet. Not the quiet of trying to cover it up. The quiet of everyone knowing they couldn't say a word. Professor Hale's graduate seminar was cancelled for a week. Sophia stopped coming to the department. Ethan vanished too. But I knew they wouldn't just sit back and take it. Sure enough, 3 days later, an anonymous post appeared. Headline: Honest discussion. Did Elena plan this all along to get back at her ex? It was a long post. It claimed I'd had a breakdown after the breakup. That I'd always been jealous of Sophia. That I'd been mentally unstable before my defense. That I was weaponizing female victimhood to take down another woman. The worst part: it included screenshots of old arguments between Ethan and me. Cropped very carefully. Only the parts where I demanded, "Did you go see Sophia again?" Not the parts where he'd lied about being in his dorm. And was actually with her at the hospital. The comments started swinging back. Yikes. Sounds like there really is relationship drama here. Academic issues are one thing. But Elena's not totally innocent either. Right? 2 girls fighting over a guy. So embarrassing. Lila was shaking with anger. That has to be Ethan. Only he has those chat screenshots. I read the post and actually felt relieved. Lila blinked. Relieved. They're desperate. I said. People who can't argue with the evidence always go after your motives. I didn't reply to the post directly. I put together 3 things. First, the full, uncropped chat history. Second, the complete timeline of the paper, code, and grant proposal. Third, a legal consultation memo. Then I posted a public statement. It was short. Regarding recent online rumors. My report concerns the theft of unpublished research. Not relationship drama. All evidence has been submitted to the department, the journal, and the University Academic Senate. I have documented all defamatory and insulting posts from various accounts, and reserve the right to pursue legal action. Full timeline attached. The attachment was 18 pages long. No crying. No rants about heartbreak. Just dates. Files. Evidence. Process. After I posted it, the anonymous thread was quickly deleted by the moderators. Someone commented, Elena's response is so solid. Leaves 0 room for drama. Taking notes. Don't defend your feelings. Lay out the evidence. Ethan is so gross. Stole her paper and leaked private chats too. That night, Ethan finally came to find me. This time, not outside my dorm. Not outside the library. He stood in front of the department building. Like a tree bent sideways by the rain. When I walked by, he said quietly, Elena. I stopped. He looked at me. And there was a total broken exhaustion in his eyes. I didn't post it. But you gave her the screenshots. I said. His lips moved. But he didn't deny it. Sophia said she just wanted to prove your report was personal. I didn't think she'd post them. I looked at him. And suddenly even anger felt like a waste. Ethan. Have you noticed? Every bad thing you've ever done. Someone else made you do it. His face went white. The paper was because Sophia needed it. The screenshots were because Sophia wanted proof. The grant was because the professor told you to. What about you? Are you just a person with no hands and no brain of his own? His eyes reddened. I really do regret it. Regret what? Regret giving her your work. Regret not protecting you. Regret losing you. His voice cracked. I said. You didn't lose me. He looked up. You pushed me away with your own 2 hands. Then you were surprised I didn't come back. Wind swept through the trees in front of the building. Leaves rustling loud. Ethan suddenly squatted down, burying his face in his hands. I saw his shoulders shaking. Once. The sight of him upset would have broken my heart. If he so much as frowned. I'd wonder if I'd done something wrong. Now I watched him huddled there. And I felt nothing. Maybe love really dies not when you hate someone. But when you see them cry and your first thought isn't to comfort them, it's to walk around them. I walked past him. I didn't look back. In early June, the journal sent formal notice. After verification, Sophia's submitted paper was found to bear extensive overlap with my unpublished research. And she could not provide complete process evidence proving she had conducted the study independently. The editorial board's decision. Revoke acceptance. Additionally, they would be formally notifying the author's institution of the findings. I stared at the words revoke acceptance for a very long time. There was no burst of joy like I'd imagined. Just a long, slow exhale. Like someone who'd been trapped underwater finally breaking the surface. Lila hugged me and screamed. It's retracted. It's actually retracted. She's done. I swayed in her grip. Laughing a little. Easy. I'm still alive. Her eyes were wet. You'd better be alive. You're gonna go on and do amazing things. The department's disciplinary announcement came out a week later. The notice didn't go into heavy detail. But it was clear enough. Sophia Moore was found to have improperly used another student's unpublished research and misrepresented the source of her submission. She received disciplinary probation, was stripped of all awards and honors eligibility for the year, and removed from all project participation. Ethan Carter had distributed a classmate's unpublished research materials without permission, resulting in severe consequences. He received a formal disciplinary warning, lost eligibility for the annual fellowship, and was required to submit a written apology. Professor Arthur Hale was found to have insufficiently reviewed grant proposal materials and failed to adequately supervise his students' academic integrity. He was suspended from graduate admissions for 1 year, and the relevant grant was placed under review. The day the announcement went out, the department group chat was dead silent. After a few minutes, people started DMing me. "Elena, I'm sorry I doubted you before. You're so brave. If I ever run into something like this, can I ask you how to collect evidence?" I read them all, and replied simply, "Thanks. Keep all original records. Good luck." There was no dramatic, tearful comeback scene. No line of people lining up to apologize. In real life, justice always comes slow, comes messy, comes with dust on it. But it came. And that was enough. The last time Sophia stood in front of me was the day before commencement. She was by the side entrance of the department building, gaunt, but there was still bitterness in her eyes. "Elena," she called after me. I stopped. "Enjoying yourself?" she asked. I thought about it. A little. Her face darkened. I added, "Not because you're suffering." "Then why?" "Because I proved what's mine is mine." Sophia bit her lip. "You ruined me." I looked at her, and the line felt familiar. Ethan had said something similar. Professor Hale had implied the same. Like the second their lives had consequences. "It was my fault. I didn't ruin you," I said. "You just thought you could steal a path and still reach the end." Sophia's eyes glistened. "Elena, don't act like you're better than me. If you hadn't found out, if you didn't have proof, you'd be the one crushed. The world belongs to whoever's willing to fight dirty and talk pretty. You know that." I nodded. "So I learned." "Learned what?" "To protect myself." I looked at her. "But that doesn't mean I have to become you." Then I turned and walked away. Silence behind me for a long time. I knew Sophia would never wish me well. It didn't matter. Her good wishes were worthless. Commencement day was bright and sunny. ISTOD in front of the auditorium in my master's regalia while Lila took photos. "Elena, smile. There we got hats the I'm about to take on the world smile." I laughed. After the photos, I got an email from the organizing committee of a young scholars forum at a university in the American South. They'd read my thesis and the revised draft, and invited me to submit a full conference paper, with a suggestion to expand it further for journal submission. The last line read, "We were particularly impressed by your commitment to research transparency and reproducibility." I read that line, and my eye stung. Something that had been stolen from me could actually grow back, even stronger than before. Ethan was at commencement too. He wasn't wearing regalia. He just stood at the edge of the crowd, watching me. I almost pretended not to see him. But he walked over. "Elena." Lila immediately stepped in front of me. "What do you want now?" I patted her arm. "It's okay." Ethan looked at me, his expression complicated. "I'm leaving tomorrow," he said. "My advisor made me defer a year. My PhD applications are on hold." I said nothing. He smiled bitterly. "I know you don't feel bad for me." "No." The blunt answer seemed to sting. But he just bowed his head. I just wanted to say, "I'm sorry." "Noted." And he paused. "You really are amazing. I never deserved you." I looked at him. Once. I'd waited so long to hear those words. Waited for him to recognize my work. My hurt. That I wasn't the one who could be sacrificed. But now that I heard them, they were weightless. "Ethan," I said, "I don't need you to tell me I'm amazing now." He froze. I've always known I was amazing. Wind caught the hem of my regalia. The auditorium steps were loud with people laughing, crying, running toward their futures with flowers in their hands. I stood in the sunlight, and suddenly felt so much lighter. Ethan's eyes reddened. "Can we still be friends?" I smiled. "No. This time." I answered fast. He looked like he'd expected it. But he still looked away. Hurt. "Not every apology gets a second chance," I said. "Some apologies just exist so you know you owed me one." He was quiet for a long time. Then nodded. "Good luck out there," he said. "Thanks," I said. "And try not to steal anyone else's life next time." His face went white. He said nothing else. Turned. And walked away. Lila muttered beside me. "Damn. That was satisfying." I laughed. "Come on. More photos." She linked her arm through mine. "Elena. Today's your day. Whatever you want." I glanced back at the department building. 3 years ago. I dragged my suitcase through those doors, thinking my life was finally about to go somewhere. Those 3 years had held falls, tears, betrayal, and almost having my name stolen from me. But in the end, I was still standing here, in my regalia, holding my own paper. No one else could sign my name for me. A year later, I heard Sophia's name again at an academic conference. Not on the presenter list. In a retraction case study, an unnamed master's student at A.U.S. University. The moderator said, "This case reminds us how important process evidence, data management, and co-author boundaries are. Especially for early career researchers, you have to learn to protect your unpublished work." I sat in the audience, looking down at my conference program. That year, my own paper had been accepted at a different journal. New title. Upgraded model. Longer sample period. Stronger conclusions. Only one name on the byline. Elena Hayes. After the session, a first-year grad student came up to me. Shy. "Dr. Hayes, can I ask you a question?" I smiled. "Of course." She hugged her laptop to her chest and said quietly, "If I send my paper to a senior student to look over, should I keep records of it?" I paused for a second. Then I answered seriously, "Yes. Send it by email. State clearly in the body what it's for and who it's for. Keep code and data stored separately. Timestamp every major version. Set permissions on shared drives. Never give edit access to just anyone. And if any request makes you uncomfortable, you can say no." She nodded hard. "Thank you so much." After she left, I stood by the conference center's floor-to-ceiling windows, watching the traffic go by. My phone buzzed. A text from Lila. "Dr. Elena. Heard you crushed your talk today." I wrote back. "Didn't crush it. Just did fine." She replied instantly. "Sure. Queen. Just fine." I smiled and put my phone away. The afternoon sun hit the glass, warm enough to make my eyes prickle a little. I suddenly remembered. A long time ago, Ethan had asked me, "Elena, why do you care so much about the byline? It's just a few letters." Back then, I didn't know how to answer. Now I did. A byline isn't just a few letters. It's all the nights no one saw you working. It's the patience of breaking down and starting over when the model won't run. It's the proof you can hold up when someone doubts you. It's the mark of a person writing themselves into the world. One word at a time. That's why you don't give it up. That's why you never should. After the conference, I got the page proofs from my journal editor. The email subject line read, "Page proof confirmation, digital finance development, corporate green innovation, and low carbon transition performance." I opened the file. There, on the first page, my name printed clear. Elena Hayes. No Sophia Moore. No Ethan Carter. No trace of anything stolen. Anything forced. Anything that didn't belong. I downloaded the proof and saved it. I named the file Mine. Outside, the sky slowly darkened, and city lights flickered on. I closed my laptop and walked out into the crowd. That year, I finally understood. The best part of getting even isn't watching them fall. It's standing up from the mud and realizing you're still clean. Still sharp. Still capable of going so much farther. Someone once stole my paper. But they could never steal the hands that wrote it. And they could never steal the life I was going to build next.